My name is Ian Michael, Professional Development Chairman Committee. Right here we have our president, Brianna. Say hello, Brianna.
Hi.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are featuring ZEAHLOT Lopez. She's an amazing friend of mine. She's helped me throughout my business, my personal life, just helped me develop myself emotionally, as well as other aspects as well, you know? So let me introduce her. So ZEAHLOT is a licensed cosmetologist that became a therapist. Currently, she is registered with the state of California as a marriage and family intern. Guided by her intuition, clinical training, and life experience, and some luck, she currently helps individuals and families lead a happier life. She enjoys comedy, singing in the shower, and cooking new dishes. Y'all give it up for ZEAHLOT.
All right, thank you, Ian.
Welcome.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. So I know some of us couldn't join us just because of the time or it's Saturday morning, so good morning to you, and I'm happy for you guys to watch. And this morning, I want to talk about your intelligence, and most importantly, your emotional intelligence. And I'm a very big believer that in order for anything to work, we need connection, whether it be science, it be chemistry, or it be humans. So if you're not building that connection, things are not going to flow as we'd like it to. And in order for us to connect more, I'd like to introduce myself and let you know somewhat of my background and where I come from and why it is that you're even listening to me in the first place. So to begin, currently I am registered with the state of California as a marriage and family therapist intern. What does that mean? That means that I am a mental health professional that works with families, works with individuals, couples, and children. And in working with my communities, I am so honored to be here at the Urban League this morning for the very reason that the values that the Urban League has is to improve our communities and to improve equality and the standard of living for people of color, for people that want to improve their entrepreneurial ventures, that want to give their children a better life. And these are the values that I respect and I honor. So I am so thankful to be here this morning. Accordingly, I'd like to share with you that I myself grew up in a home where I had two parents hustling 12 hours a day to put bread on the table. And from my experience in growing up with that as a Latina with two parents that were undocumented, I learned very quickly that the American dream isn't a dream, it's reality. You are very, very able to create entrepreneurship on your own. You will need leadership and you will need guidance. And that's why it is so important in our communities to have each other and to go to one another and say, hey, what is it that you're doing? What's working? And improving ourselves, our own personal branding in order to improve our businesses. In being a therapist, I have learned that if you're not correct, other things are not going to flow in your life. And I find it very interesting in our communities, in our schools, in the structure we have here in the United States. We teach our children that education is so important. You need to get up, you need to go to school, you need to do right. And we teach them 2 plus 2. And we also teach them, this is what you need to write on. This is what you need to memorize. This and that. But never once do we touch on the importance of a financial education or an emotional intelligence. These are the two main factors currently in the United States that are creating the most chaos. These are the two things that run our lives day by day: finances and our emotions. During the day, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we have so many emotions that you are not even aware of. Some of them we block out and some of them come to us. Maybe you're in traffic in LA and you're just like, ooh, I need patience. You have irritability coming through you, have anger, you have all types of feelings, including our finances. What am I gonna do about this bill? How am I handle that? What about my child care? People, this is impacting your life. You need to take time to work on this part and aspect of it. When we teach our children 2 plus 2, learning how to read and write, very little to any education is geared towards helping a child since pre-K to kindergarten to college how to identify your emotions. What is that? What is emotional intelligence? Webster might give me a definition. I myself have my own opinion. You might disagree, and honorably, that's okay. My definition is this. Emotional intelligence means that your brain tells you something, but there's a connection between your heart and then your gut. And your gut, most of the time, whether you want to listen to it or not, is telling you something so important. And you need to hear it, even past what your brain is telling you. My ancestors, I'm of Mexican descent, and the Aztecs used to think that the most important part of our body was here in the liver, that's where everything originated from. And I find it so interesting that it's very close to the area where we get those butterflies, when we have that intuition or when we meet somebody, or when we have that gut instinct to say, stay away, there's danger. It starts here, even through our feet, because our primary ancestors used our feet to run from the dinosaur or run back into the cave. Your body speaks volumes to your intuition, and I encourage you to listen to it. All these factors were taught to me in graduate school. I had to get past my grammar school, my high school, my college. I had to get to graduate school to learn these things. And it's so important to our children, and yet we don't teach it to them. So now here we are. We're here as professional adults that are entrepreneurs, and yet we're not even aware of what we are developed for our intuition or our emotions. We're in a predicament here as adults because we are aware this is important, but we don't know what to do about it. There's 3 different types of intelligence. There's much more, but these are the primary ones. The first type of intelligence is book smarts. It's what they teach us in school, right? It's reading, writing, 2 + 2. It's memorization more than anything. Can you regurgitate what it is the teacher is telling you, right? Okay. The second type of intelligence is that street smarts. What the books don't teach you. What you learn from life, right? It's what Jay-Z, it's the hard knock life, right? It's what the around the corner I learned, or what my cousin taught me, or what my mama taught me when I did not listen. That is so important as well. And we take those experiences and we store it away. It's there and we learn from it. But wait, there's more. There is a third. And I'd love to say that is one of the most important, and that's emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is what will tell us whether or not that business deal is the best for us. Is the person I am going to for this contract or this agreement the best person to do business with? Does their vision match mine? Does their hustle complement mine? Does their integrity match what it is I would like to put out into the world? This is what our emotional intelligence will teach us in any type of business. It does not matter what it is that your product is, your service, or what you're pitching to others. Many of us out there love to help people, and this is the best way to go about business. I'd like you as entrepreneurs to remember that people do not buy the product. People do not buy the service, they buy you. I'll repeat that. People buy you. And if you're not right, and the customer or potential referral can smell that or feel that, and their emotional intelligence is higher than yours, you're not going to land that contract. You're not going to do business with them. You will not make that sale because they are aware that you are not in tune with yourself, right? Being in tune with oneself, being in true presence is being authentic, and it's being authentic everywhere you go. There's this myth out there as entrepreneurs that there's this work-life, family-home balance, that I can have this great life where I'm an entrepreneur, I do my work hours, and then I go home and I have this great balance, and my wife's happy at home, and my children have all the time we need, or my friends, I can go out on the weekend. But that's a myth. That's not true. And I say that because it separates the person you are. You are your whole authentic self everywhere you go. And that if that is not the case, business will be impacted. You will see the sales go down. You will see what's going on here. Because if you're not happy in your home life, or you're not happy with your friendships, with your relationships, it's going to spill over into your business. And unless you're able to identify that and get help, reach out to others, find out what's going out or going inside me, then you will be able to better your life in general. As well, if business is going well, other parts of your life will thrive. And this is why developing your emotional intelligence is so important. If you develop the ability to provide others with what it is that they need, but as well meeting your own needs, putting bread on the table, saving up for that trip you want to take that fulfills your soul, business will be booming because there's a mutual connection there with the need versus the want, right? And knowing that difference. As an entrepreneur, it's important for self-care. What is that? What is self-care? I remember that as a Latina, the first time I ever heard the word self-care was as well when I first started my job. I work for a nonprofit agency where I provide mental health services to families in the community that are just barely making it. They don't know maybe tomorrow if they're going to even have an apartment to live in, if they're going to have enough food. And my leaders were telling me about self-care, that as a mental health professional, it's really important because it prevents burnout. And I still didn't understand that word because in my community and in my home, in my world, that didn't exist. In communities of color, we understand that you sacrifice, that it's for the family. The family comes first. And I 100% from my heart understand that and I hear it. But I also know that as an entrepreneur, as somebody that wants to thrive in their full being, you need to fill the cup first. You cannot pour from an empty cup to other people. And sometimes we forget that. And it's being connected with your emotional intelligence and knowing, wait a minute, what is it that I need in this very moment? I'm booking appointments back to back to back to back because I'm a hustler, because I want to make those numbers, because I want it that bad. But at what cost? What are you trading? Are you trading your authenticity? Are you trading your true purpose? When you're in tune with your passion, but also what your purpose is, what your God-given gifts are, this is emotional intelligence. And it will not be a push, it will be a pull. It will just flow from you. It is the most beautiful thing when you feel flow inside yourself. It's a peace, not that you find, but that it truly, utterly goes everywhere with you. What is that? What is flow? It means that when you wake up in the morning and you're super tired and you know you are, you still get up in the morning and you are excited to go give your gifts to the world. Currently, right now, if you ask anyone you know or people on the street, or even if you look to your left and on your right on the freeways here in LA, people are miserable. They do not like what they do for a living, and that is a tragedy. That is truly a tragedy. And the most beautiful thing about entrepreneurs, especially in this room, is that you are already aware that you have a higher purpose than just clocking it from 9 to 5. I'll repeat that, you have a higher purpose. Now, the special mix, the secret sauce, is knowing what your passion is. Your passion doesn't necessarily match what you went to school for. It doesn't usually, actually, because same thing, we are taught to be successful, you go to college. Great, I get that, but it's knowing why are you doing what you're doing. Not just because mom and dad told you, become a nurse, become a doctor, become this, because it puts bread on the table. I love you and I want you to be secure as my child. But as a human being, as adults, we need to be aware of what our true passions are. If you are currently in the financial district, if you are currently in the medical field, but you don't feel that utter love and passion for what you do, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are slowly dying, little by little, and you will become resentful. And what does that look like? I'll tell you specifically with a great example. When I was purchasing my car, I was window shopping. I went to the car dealership, and I was just passing by, and I didn't plan on purchasing that day. I walked by someone's desk, and they offered to help me look around. And at the same time, I felt this resentment as I was speaking with them and having small conversation. Not big talk, small talk. And I'll tell you that difference in a moment. I had small talk with this man, and he was telling me about numbers and disc tires and things that were just of small matters. He was resentful because it was already 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, and he just wanted to go home. He didn't have to tell me, I felt it. So I kept walking. I think the first time, just kept walking. Then I had another gentleman approach me, and he started telling me about my mom, because my mom was with me. She went just window shopping with me, asked me about her, and telling her he had a beautiful daughter, and he had charm. But the most important thing that I heard from him is that he started telling me about his kids. It's like, hey, let me show you a picture of my children. And I couldn't resist. I was like, okay. So I go to his desk and I see his children. And then immediately I see a family man. I see a man of values. I see a man who cares about what he does, and he has a purpose and a reason. This was big talk. This was about things that mattered. And this is why that day I bought a car. Because I connected with him. I connected with him as a human being. He knew that in order to speak to my soul, to speak to my heart, he had to be transparent. He had to be vulnerable. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we go through challenges much bigger than what people will see. It's much like the meme we see on social media where the carrot is budding and we only see the top, and much of the growth is subconscious. It's at the bottom. Nobody sees our struggles either. Nobody speaks publicly on, you know what? I just lost my house. I just went into foreclosure. I lost everything. But I'm still standing by my brand and my service and my product, and I believe in it. This is true emotional intelligence. So once again, the taking point from that is that small talk and big talk, it makes a big difference. Going into a business deal with your own agenda about talking about numbers and this and that will not get you as far as connecting as a human being with the other person and reading them what it is that that person actually needs. Another hidden gem as an entrepreneur that I'd like to share with you today is body language. It is a known fact that a very high percentage, I dare to say about 70% of what we say is not verbal. It's not coming out of our mouth. It's coming out of our body. How we come across to somebody, how we sit, how we walk, how we move. And if you actually are in presence and in tune with yourself, you'll be able to reflect off others. This is what I mean. I see this frequently, and I'm just a creature of habit, and I love to see how people interact. I'll go out to lunch, and I'll watch two people interact, and hopefully they don't have their cell phones out. They just have that connection, right? And their body language will tell me if they're actually in connection with the other. Once again, back to the point of our feet. Our feet are big tellers of our primary instincts. Sometimes I'll see a couple, and I'll see one of the people there with their feet right towards the person. Their body just craves them. It's just in connection with them. But the other party is like this. And it's a sad thing to see, at least for me, because I'm aware that emotional intelligence is reading that. That person there is going to waste their time, maybe an hour, maybe a couple bills, and a dinner lost. Because they're not in tune. Your body speaks. Your body speaks so clearly and so loudly that the mind sometimes doesn't even process what it is that's coming out. People in business, that are aware of what they bring to the table will consciously have their hands like this. It's a symbol of power. Symbol of power. Triangle. No matter where you form, or where you place it, or where it lands, it has a firm base. No matter what angle you put it at. And I relate that back to emotional intelligence, because a person who is well-rounded spiritually, physically, emotionally, no matter where you put them, they're going to be good. No matter what situation you throw at them, they will see the best out of that. They will grow. Those are the best entrepreneurs. For your potential clients, for your referrals, for people that you see value in, be aware of your hand gestures, whether you're sitting or you're standing. Frequently, if I go into a car dealership or if I go into a store for merchandise, some of the salesmen tend to do this. They'll walk around, they'll have their hands behind their back. Why are you hiding your hands? Is there an additional agenda that I'm not aware of? Transparency. It's in our hands, it's in our feet. The eyes will also tell you a lot. But I want to go more towards what's coming out of the mouth versus what's processing. As humans, we are uncomfortable with those awkward silence or that awkward pause. Some people call it that pregnant pause. Sometimes people just need a moment to process. Give me a minute. But they won't say it. And that's just building yourself. It's knowing, okay, what I said was so important and impactful to this person, to this potential client, that they need a moment to process that. Allow it to happen. Be in peace with yourself. Beautiful things can come out of that moment, out of that patience, out of that pause. These are key elements that will help you close the deal. Moving into the communication part of our talk today. Many at times, people will confuse what it is they think and what they feel. And I'll give you a great example in regards to this. As a mental health professional, one of the key elements that I teach my clients from tomb to womb, right? Or from womb to tomb, from tiny to, closer to retirement. We are not taught how to express ourselves when we feel something. Great example. One person tells another, I think you're mad. That is taking away the person's right to feel however it is that they want to feel. Maybe they're not mad. Maybe they're just irritated or tired. I feel should be followed by a feeling, an emotional vocabulary. Emotional vocabulary. What does that mean? I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm irritated, I am joyful, I'm happy, I'm tired, I'm grieving. It's very interesting that the English language has over 100 feeling words. Yet, most people, when challenged to write down emotional words, can't even give me 10. They can't even give me 10. Most sad, mad. That's it. But there's so much more. And just as we've been taught, as we've been told, as we've been exploring, the human being doesn't even use 10% of its brain. The capacity, the potential we have. As such, we are not using our potential to express what it is we feel. If we're only able to identify 10 out of 100, think about that, that's only 10%. By increasing your emotional vocabulary, you will help yourself and you will also help your customers, your clients, your referrals understand what it is they're feeling. I'm feeling scared to do this transaction. This is a big purchase. I'm buying a house. Everything is riding on this. I will have nothing left in my savings. If you are able to understand that fear, perhaps, or anxiety, they'll feel understood and heard, like, oh, they get me. They get me. Maybe it's the first car you're buying for your daughter and she's going away to college. It's important to speak to that in the person. Or maybe you're working in a nonprofit. What are the real challenges these people are facing? What is the call to action here? I think is followed by a thought. I think is followed by a thought. I think we should go to Target. I think we should go to Target. It's definitely an error to mistake those two. To put a feeling after a thought and to put a thought after a feeling. I feel we should go to Target. No, you're not feeling that. You're thinking that. Okay? There's the big difference. Small, but big difference. Yeah. Additionally, in communicating as entrepreneurs, one of the most important things for communication is validation and reflection added with empathy. What is this? Empathy is very, very different than sympathy. Many people confuse these two. This is my field and I love this, so it's very exciting to share this with you because I use it on a daily as an entrepreneur. Empathy is feeling with. Empathy is feeling with a person. It's putting yourself in their shoes and saying, man, if my dog died, I would feel horrible right now. This is what I can relate to. This is what I connect to. Common sense tells us, obviously, we're not them. You can't feel exactly the way they do, but you can empathize with them. Sympathy, which is very different, is, oof, yeah, sorry your dog died. But you don't feel with them. It's the same as talking to versus with somebody. Okay? Validation is not necessarily agreeing with someone. Validating someone's point does not mean that you agree. What does that mean? I understand that you want a house. I understand that you want this house for so many thousands of dollars, and you know that's unrealistic in your mind as an entrepreneur, but it's still validating the potential client, the referral. It's saying, you know, this is what is available and I can absolutely understand where you're coming from. It is respecting them and what they feel. Once again, the feeling, we're back to that emotional intelligence. It's just like with a child or with a friend. I can understand that you want to go to the movies and the mall and the cookie and the ice cream, and we only have 20 minutes. It's validating them, yet still respecting boundaries. This is what I'm talking about when I say creating emotional intelligence as an entrepreneur. Reflection. Reflecting back what someone says is one of the most difficult aspects because when we think we are listening, we really don't. I'll give you a great example. If anyone has ever gone to a fast food lane, they get in the line. I'm hungry. I'm gonna order me a shake, burger, and some fries. You give the order. Next window, please. You pull up to the window and you get a burger, fries, and a Coke. I wanted a shake. What happened? And you're angry, and on top of that, you're hangry. You're hungry and you're angry. And then you still gotta pay, but you still gotta wait, and you're still hungry. This is a problem. And then that just propels you for the rest of the day. It just shifts your mood. The same thing happens with us on a daily when we communicate with others as entrepreneurs, as family members, as sisters, as mothers, as brothers, as cousins, in any type of relationship. If we don't hear the message, the true message, we're missing it altogether. If you're not hearing what the client is saying, you're gonna miss that deal. If they're saying, listen, I just lost a loved one, and I would love to do this life insurance, and I know that right now what I need is to wait. I need to wait during this grief. And they send this to you. Perhaps they didn't tell it to you in person. Maybe it was an email, maybe it was a text, maybe it was a voicemail. Less impersonal. How do you respond? 80% of people, I will tell you, will say, hey, hi, I got your message, even through text. Got your message, okay, talk to you then. Or when will you be ready? They immediately go into the solution phase. they go into the response, right? But we think it's a response. It's actually a reaction. When we react, it is not processed. It is not in true connection with the other person. When we respond, we actually validate the person. What does that sound like? Hi, Mary. I got your call, text, email, or you're in front of them. I'm so sorry to hear about your loss. Could you tell me more about them so I know how important they were to you and I can get to know you a little bit better? If that's okay with you, if you're comfortable. And when you're ready, we'll talk about whatever it is we need to talk about. Because you're speaking to their true nature, you're speaking to the actual feelings that are in the room, and they will respect you more for that. Because first and foremost, you are a human being, and you are responding to them versus reacting. So I know this is hitting you guys, because I'm seeing a lot of head nods and yep. And this is a daily struggle. This is something that I myself have to remind, okay, Z, are you trying to problem solve here, or are you really trying to empathize with them? Are you trying to connect with them? Most of the time, even I venture to say that in genders, there's a big difference, the way we communicate. Here's something to take in consideration as well when you're working in business with different genders. Women, we love to talk. No surprise there, right? No shocker. Women like to talk, we like to connect, like, girl, what's your nail color? Tell me, where'd you get it? Where'd you get your shoes, right? We like to connect first. Men connect as well, and men connect differently. Men move differently, they flow. The same, but different. Men like to get to the point. They are men of business, they are men of accountability, they got things to do. So they definitely connect differently. In doing business, when there's different genders, please take this in consideration because it will make the difference. If you are a male trying to provide a service or a product to a female, understand they like to connect and chat. Ask them about anything that is of interest to them. But make sure it's coming from an authentic place. Don't just ask to ask. Ask because you are naturally and authentically curious about it. Women, when you are working with men, be intentional with what it is you want to say and where you're going with it. Men like to have those roadmaps. Where are we going? Where is this going? Otherwise, they might accidentally hang up on you. Or they might, have to go to the bathroom. They will disconnect from you quick. So tell them at the very beginning where we're going with this. Hey, listen, I know your wife, she needs a washer and dryer. Let me tell you the two options we have. Let me know what you think and what you feel. And go. That is so important to understand as an entrepreneur. Now, there are always exceptions, but for the most part, it's understanding what that person needs. As an entrepreneur that is also a human being and has different relationships in their lives, understanding where it is you sit with others is probably at the top of your game and at your list as an entrepreneur with emotional intelligence. Why? The biggest commodity, and I'd love to say that the most important piece of you as an entrepreneur is other people. We are only as valuable as our community. We are only as valuable as the connections we have with others. Value that over money, and that will get you much further. Money, at the end of the day, cannot provide you with health, cannot provide you with love. This has been true time and time again. People are what's important. Sadly, in this society, we are loving things and using people. Use your emotional intelligence to change that. Because once you do, your life will change. And in wrapping up today, I do want to leave you guys with this. My work is not only as a mental health professional or a licensed cosmetologist doing weaves and haircuts and all kinds of fun things, but it's providing value to other people. I wake up every day, and yes, I am tired, but I love what I do. When people ask, do you like it? I say, absolutely not. I don't like what I do. I love what I do. because I am at a place where my passion has acknowledged my purpose. The two have met. And I encourage you to make that connection, because until you do, you're going to be a ship in the ocean that has no direction. Find your own inner compass. I thank you for your time, and if you guys have any additional questions or any need or any want for coaching services with me, please let me know. Thank you.